Remembering a murder victim. Now at 10, those who knew this young woman, 24-year-old Maleah Bess, are honoring the life she lived. The apartment complex manager was killed while at work at a Jackson apartment complex. Thanks for joining us here tonight at 10. I'm Megan West.
And I'm Troy Johnson. Jackson police have her husband in custody tonight, accusing him of her murder. The situation unfolded at Westwood Apartments just after 11 this morning. Police say that Bess's husband, 52-year-old Ron Allen, surrendered more than 2 hours after the standoff began. Chief Joseph Wade said it took several surrounding agencies to arrest Allen.
35th homicide of the year compared to 71 this time last year. We've shown a drastic reduction in homicides, but again, this is domestic related. This is a husband taking his wife's life, then putting all of these other people's lives in danger, including law enforcement. Very sad day, but I'm glad that we were able to mitigate this situation without any further loss of life.
Friends and family are mourning the loss of Bess. Those closest to her say the relationship had become dangerous, and now they're sharing her story in hopes of helping someone else.
Ashley at my house yesterday on my couch.
Sure was.
And we talked, about them working the relationship out or whatever, and he left.
The last text her friend sent her that morning was simple. "You're going to be fine. I love you." She wrote back, "I love you too." Hours later, her phone rang, and the person who picked up was not her. Let me tell you something. By the time you finish this story, you are going to feel a lot of things. Because Maleah Bess was not a woman who sat around waiting for something bad to happen. She saw the danger. She made moves. She packed her things. She left.
She had to leave him, and he didn't want her to leave him. She had to leave him because she just had to for her own safety. As we can see, she did not feel safe.
She told the people around her she slept somewhere else. She did the thing that everybody says you are supposed to do when a relationship turns unsafe. And it still was not enough. Moving on, because this story does not get easier, it just gets more real. Before we get into it, leave a like, drop your thoughts on the comment, and subscribe to Trial of Clues. Maleah Bess grew up on the south side of Chicago. By the time she was 24 years old, she had already done what a lot of people twice her age were still trying to figure out. She graduated from Jackson State University, packed up, and built herself a whole life in Jackson, Mississippi. She landed a job as a leasing agent at Westwood Apartments on Robinson Street and did not stay there long before she was running the place as property manager. Now here is the thing about Maleah that you need to understand before anything else. She was not just clocking in and clocking out. She was intentional about her work. She filmed her days, not for clout, not for views, just because she was proud of what she was building. You could watch her walk into that leasing office before it even opened, pull out her planner, read her morning devotion, go through her emails, check applications, walk units with people who were looking for a new place to call home. She built a small following off of that kind of content. Day in the life videos, casual selfies, the kind of presence online that makes a complete stranger feel like they already know you. People who dealt with her at that complex said the same things about her, over and over, like they had all agreed on the words beforehand. Career-driven, mature beyond her years, the type of woman who paid attention to what other people were going through, not just her own life. Residents who came to her when something went wrong said she gave grace. She did not make them feel small. She understood. And for a young woman running a whole apartment complex at 24, that kind of warmth is not something you fake. Girl, she had her whole life ahead of her. Now, Ron Allen. Ron was 52 years old, a father of 3, living in Jackson. And before he and Maleah ever became a couple, he already had a history. With the courts, with the law, with showing up and not showing up when he was supposed to. He had more than one run-in with the legal system over the years. One of those cases was a DUI charge that came with a payment plan attached to it. By his own account, his own words in court, he stopped making those payments after a hip surgery put him on pain medication. And that dependency turned into a full addiction. He eventually did a 28-day treatment program out of state. And by his own account again, he had been clean since July 3rd. So when he and Maleah got together, he was a man in recovery, a man with legal history, a man who was 28 years older than her. Like, the age gap alone had people talking before the relationship even got serious. Friends said so, family said so. They told her directly. They had concerns before the wedding ever happened, and they made those concerns known to her face. She married him anyway. Period 8. And look, in the early months, by all accounts from people around them, Ron was attentive. He checked in on her. He was present. So whatever concerns people had walking into that wedding, the first stretch of the marriage did not seem to confirm them right away. But hey, that did not last long. 3 months in, things started to shift. Ron started showing up at her job without being asked, without being invited, without any reason to be there except that he wanted to be. People who knew both of them said he did not like her spending time with friends if he was not part of it. He tracked where she was. He tracked who she was talking to. The kind of behavior that does not announce itself as dangerous right away, it just slowly makes you feel like you cannot breathe without someone keeping count. By early summer, this was no longer something Maleah could manage privately. She moved out of the home she shared with Ron and went to stay with her close friend, Manisha Simmons. Not because she wanted to leave.
To leave him. She had to leave him, and he didn't want her to leave him. She had to leave him because she just had to for her own safety. As we can see, she did not.
Manisha made that very clear later. Maleah did not want to go. She felt like she had to go because staying did not feel safe anymore. Oh, so now Ron did not take that as the message it was. He kept showing up at her workplace, in the parking lot, in places he had no business being once the two of them were living apart. And understand, this was the same period of time that Ron was telling the court he had been 4 weeks sober, 4 weeks out of treatment. He had gotten through what should have been the hardest part of getting clean, and he was still posting up at his estranged wife's job like she owed him access to her. People close to Maleah also said she had started seeing someone else by this point. She was trying to move forward. She was trying to build something new. And Ron knew. Make it make sense. Because it did not stop. Not in the days leading up to the end of July. If anything, it picked up. The night before everything happened, Ron showed up at Manisha's house. He sat down on the couch. He and Maleah talked about the relationship, about working things out, about whatever a conversation like that sounds like between two people on opposite sides of wanting the same thing. Manisha was right there in the room, and she said afterward, she did not feel anything alarming about it. It felt like just another visit. She had no reason to think that less than 24 hours later, her friend would never walk out of that leasing office.
He was actually at my house yesterday on my couch.
Sure was.
And we talked about them working the relationship out or whatever. And he left. It wasn't nothing alarming. I didn't feel anything.
July 31st started like any other Thursday for Maleah. She was at work. In that leasing office she had poured herself into. The same office where she read her devotion every morning, went through her planner, checked her emails, walked residents through their questions. The same office she had filmed herself in, proud of what she was building, proud of who she was becoming. Ron got there a little before 11 that morning. He did not call ahead. He did not knock and wait. He walked straight into that leasing office like he had every right to be there. Like the separation meant nothing. Like the months of her trying to create distance between them had never happened at all. A witness was inside when it started. They heard something, a sound that did not belong in that office on a Thursday morning, and opened the door to see what was going on. What they saw was Maleah, holding her side. The door closed, and then more shots followed from inside. Anyways, by the time it was over, Maleah Bess had been shot 7 times. Inside the same building where she worked every single day. Inside the space she had built her professional life around. 7 times. Ron did not leave. He barricaded himself inside that leasing office, locked in with her. While people outside were still trying to figure out what had just happened, while sirens were making their way down Robinson Street, while the people who loved Maleah were calling her phone to check on her, Ron was inside that office. And when her phone rang, he picked up, and he told them himself exactly what he had done. Like, there are no words. There are genuinely no words for that. Jackson police were dispatched almost immediately, first reported as a possible active shooter situation, and understand the weight of what that meant for that city on that day. Jackson, by multiple measures, already carried one of the highest homicide rates per capita of any city in the country. This, Maleah, became the 35th homicide investigated there that year. The 35th. She was 24 years old, and she became a number in a statistic that her city was already drowning in. Multiple law enforcement agencies responded to Westwood Apartments that morning. Jackson Police Department arrived first. They were joined quickly by the Hinds County Sheriff's Department and several smaller departments from surrounding areas. A SWAT team set up a full perimeter around the building. Hostage negotiators got on the phone with Ron. He kept hanging up. They called back. He hung up again. This went on for 2 to 3 hours. Ron was inside that office, and the negotiator stayed on that line every single time he disconnected, calling back, talking, trying to get him to come out without anybody else getting hurt. Eventually, he came out, and when he walked out of that building and officers got a look at him, his clothing told them everything they needed to know about what had happened inside. He was covered in her blood. Officers went in and found Maleah. She was gone. Period. She was gone. The company that managed Westwood Apartments was contacted for a statement. They said they had not been briefed and could not speak on it yet. Meanwhile, outside that complex, people who had seen Maleah nearly every single day for over a year were finding out in real time. Residents who had watched her run that office. People she had helped move in, helped sort out problems for, given grace to when things went sideways. They were standing outside watching police tape go up around the place their property manager had just been killed. One of her friends found out and immediately went back to their last conversation. The last text sent to Maleah that same morning, the one that said, "You're going to be fine. I love you." And Maleah had said it back, "I love you too." That was the last exchange. Now here's where this story took a turn that a lot of people were not ready for. Once the news broke online, the posts started, and they moved fast. One post that circulated widely read almost exactly like this. The leasing office lady and the maintenance man, who are both married, had an affair, and the husband of the leasing office lady shot her. That is what is going on right now. That post is how a huge portion of people first heard about this case. And it shaped the conversation from that point forward in a way that was hard to undo. Then came another post, a reply under a different comment, from someone who identified themselves only as a relative of Ron's. It read like this: "That's my uncle, and it's way more to the story. She married for money. She took $70,000 from him without him knowing, and more. So now, let's be very clear about something. Not one word of either of those posts was ever confirmed by investigators. None of it was ever brought up in court. Nothing from the affair claim. Nothing from the money claim. Nothing. But people ran with it anyway. Some blamed Maleah for whatever she may or may not have done. Others said it did not matter what she did. Nothing she did made what happened to her okay. Make it make sense, because the internet had already made up its mind before the facts even had a chance to breathe. The day after the shooting, Ron made his first court appearance. An officer testified that witnesses had seen Ron holding a weapon inside that office. Those same witnesses confirmed they saw Maleah holding her side before the door closed on her. The officer confirmed that Ron's clothing when he surrendered matched exactly what investigators found at the scene. Witnesses also identified Ron from a photo lineup and the phone call. The one where Ron picked up Maleah's phone and told her friends himself what he had done was confirmed exactly the way those witnesses had described it. The judge denied bond. The charge was homicide. It took close to a year for the case to reach its end, and it never made it to trial. Ron Allen entered a guilty plea. Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens announced it publicly. Ron had pleaded guilty to the charge in Maleah's death. He was sentenced to life in prison in the custody of the Mississippi Department of Corrections. Life. No trial, no drawn-out testimony, no back and forth in a courtroom for months. A guilty plea, a life sentence, case closed. But closing a case in court does not close everything. Not even close. After everything was said and done, it was Manisha who had to figure out what to do with Maleah's belongings. The clothes that were still sitting in the drawers of the room where Maleah had been staying, the things left behind by a 24-year-old woman who packed up to keep herself safe and never got the chance to unpack somewhere new. Girl, that image alone. Out of everything that came from this story, one thing moved beyond grief and into action. A state representative, Fabian Nelson, heard about Maleah and immediately started thinking about what law could have changed something. What system could have caught this earlier? And what he found was that Mississippi at that time did not track domestic violence fatalities. There was no system keeping count, no data being collected, no way to even measure how bad the problem had gotten in that state. He pushed forward with Senate Bill 2886, legislation to create a Mississippi Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. The goal was simple and overdue. Learn from these cases, track the patterns, intervene earlier, improve how individuals and institutions respond when the signs are already there, because the signs were there. They were there for months, and the people around Maleah saw them, and she saw them too. She left because of them. She did the right thing. I said what I said. Doing the right thing should be enough to keep you alive. It was not enough for Maleah. And that is the part of this story that does not resolve when the gavel comes down. Even if you are not afraid, even if by every single shadow of a doubt in your mind, you believe that person would never go that far. If they threaten you one time, take it seriously. Take it seriously. Because Maleah Bess was 24 years old with a devotion on her desk and a planner full of things she was supposed to do that day. And she never got to do any of them. Rest easy, Maleah. To get more stories and update on this case, like, comment, and subscribe to Trial of Clue.